And welcome back, everybody, to the BaseLINE podcast. I am your host, Ben Line Newman, and boy, do we have a good one for you today. We're going to be talking about NFL free agency. Now, NFL free agency starts March 14, ends March 16, and we also have a special guest for you today. Hold up, pause. Some of the topics that we talk about in this video have already happened by the time that this video has been posted. However, this is my thoughts and predictions on what I thought could have happened during NFL free agency from the stuff that maybe has happened already or the stuff that has not happened already. So with that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, about 5 years ago, I had the absolute pleasure of interning with radio legend Kevin Matthews. Kevin Matthews is best known for being a radio personality for the Chicago Loop. He also just came out with a book. It's called Broken Mary. It's a little autobiography about his life. Link for that book is going to be in the description. It's a very good read. He also was just the headline for a Chicago Tribune article about what kind of projects he's up to currently right now. The link for that is also going to be in the description. I definitely suggest you to read that because I'm actually featured in it, and I'd love for you guys to read it. But Kevin doesn't know anything about sports, so we are actually going to be talking to his good buddy who I also interned with back in 2017, Mr. Jim Shorts. And Jim Shorts is actually pretty good at sports betting. Now, welcome my special guest, Mr. Jim Shorts. Jim, how you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you, Ben?
I'm good, Jim. Now, this is a nice little role reversal, you know. I started off as you and Kevin's intern, and now I'm having you as my special guest on my podcast.
Yeah, I'll never forget this day. This is monumental to me, Ben.
Well, good. I'm happy that you're here. Now, Jim, you had a very successful NFL season when it comes to sports betting, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'm the number one gamer in America. So for all you people, if you're losing a lot of money, you're doing it because you're listening to people that don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the NFL. I am the number one. We were 12-4. I told you all the winners in the playoffs, and I was the only gamer in America that said it was going to be the Rams and it was going to be Cincinnati. And I was the only gamer in the country that I took Cincinnati in the points and I won. So there you go.
Now, Jim even was able to beat Vegas in his odds. Really great season for you, and this is why I'm picking Jim as my expert to talk about NFL free agency.
Good. Well, you should, because Vegas sucks, okay? If you want to lose money, just go to Vegas. You want to lose money, go to Reno. You want to lose money, go overseas or go on the East Coast. You want to win, you just come here every year, and I pick games, and you're going to win. So, right now, what's your questions? Why do you have me on, Ben?
Well, first off, Jim, I want to talk about your favorite team, the Chicago Bears.
Okay, back that up. It's not my favorite team. I lived in Chicago for a while. The Chicago Bears in the franchise is one of the least in my favorites, okay? They got a lot of work to do. They finally fired Nagy, who Kansas City recently picked up to be the quarterback coach. That's a good move. That's a real good move. Can you call it the Titanic move at the NFL? So you got a new coaching staff, and then you got Justin Fields, who's a quarterback that's good, but Nagy, I think, mentally wrecked him. Pace and Nagy, who are now no longer with the Bears, they had 1 year to ruin this kid. And now I just see Chicago has got a lot of work to do. They really have a lot of work to do. And I'm anxious to see how the coaches do, but I think Justin Fields is mentally mixed up because of Pace, the McCaskies, Nagy, and it's sad because he's the franchise, and he's still got 9 years on his contract. So the Bears are not my favorite, okay?
All right.
They're right up there with the Lions. Another team that needs to be sold. The Ford family has to sell it. You take Stafford, he left the Lions and he goes to the Rams, but he sucked. Okay, yeah, he won a Super Bowl. He doesn't deserve the Hall of Fame yet. He sucked in Detroit. and he was lucky he won, okay, a Super Bowl. He's good. He's a good quarterback, but let's see if you can repeat that. The Lions golf, are you kidding me? The Lions are going to be a nightmare again this year, okay? An absolute nightmare for Detroit. Okay, Detroit hasn't won a Super Bowl since, 1956, 57?
Well, they've never even been in a Super Bowl. They haven't won a championship then. Now, going back to the Bears, the Bears have had a 22-27 record since their 12-4 season in 2018. Both Allen Robinson and Akeem Hicks are both going to be free agents this year.
Yeah, you know what? Again, you're throwing numbers around. Who gives a okay? And Hicks, get rid of them, okay? And it's time. They're all injured. They got an attitude. You got to clean it up. You got to get rid of them. And so I'm hoping that the new coaching staff will get rid of those two. Who did you just mention?
Allen Robinson and Akeem Hicks.
Yeah, Akeem, just get rid of them. And a lot of players, okay? Don't focus on the Bears, okay? They're not even going to make the playoffs. And neither are the Lions. Yeah. And don't go there. That's kind of like, oh, hey, we're going to have a great year if you're a Giants fan. Not if they just got Trubisky, who was a train wreck with Chicago, and he's the new quarterback. So Giants, get ready. You suck again this year. The Lions suck. The Giants suck. The Bears suck. Who else sucks?
Well, Jim, this is why I'm asking you this question, though, because obviously you spent a lot of time in Chicago. Obviously, you just said the Bears aren't your favorite team, but what do you think the Bears need to do to become relevant again? They don't have a first-round pick this year.
They need to sell the team is what I'm not going to... Why waste your time on the Bears, okay? They're not even going to make the playoffs. And you texted me before we did this, and you said, what does the Buccaneers have to do to continue? That's going to be a train wreck, too, without Brady, okay? Just move on. I think Miami's actually going to have a better year this year than Tampa Bay. I really do. And I like Joe Burrows, and I like Cincinnati, the Bengals. I'm telling you what, I won money on the Super Bowl, okay, because I took Cincinnati in the points. I like Burrows a lot, but they gotta strengthen. They gotta protect him, just like the Lions have to protect anybody in the NFL right now. If you got a franchise quarterback, you better protect them. And if you can't protect them, like the Cincinnati was having a hard time protecting Joe Burrows, and they lost. And the Rams, that was one of the big fears I had. The Rams have a great defensive machine.
They do.
And you take a look at put Stafford back in the Lions. He couldn't get any protection. He had protection. So I still think the teams you got to watch are a lot of the teams that you saw this year that did well. Joe Burrows, I think, is going to have a great year. I know for a fact I'll cut off my legs with a dull axe. There is no way that Stafford and the Rams are going to win another Super Bowl back to back. Trust me on that.
No, I don't think they will. Now, they obviously went all in this year to make sure they got that Super Bowl win. They have a few free agents this year. They'll probably re-sign them. But I like you said, Jim, I really like Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati team. It's a very young team. Joe Burrow is going to be going into his third season, and they can only go up from here.
Yeah, and the Rams should just leave things alone. They won, but I don't know if they're going to do it again because you'll have to hold your breath with Stafford. It's either going to be a good day or it's going to be a nightmare. And he happened to have a good day, and the refs, too, in the NFL. We ought to start having draft days for the refs because the refs in the NFL suck.
Now, talking about Tampa Bay again, do you think that they're going to try to draft a quarterback this year, or do you think they're going to try to sign a free agent this year, like someone like Ben Rothensberger, Teddy Bridgewater?
How the hell do I know, Ben? What am I, a psychic? Everybody leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers alone, okay? Brady's gone. And also, Brady sucks, too. He's going to be an actor now. Are you kidding me? He should have went and did... Troy Aikman just got signed, and they gave that idiot Millions. I don't know why Brady just didn't go to the booth, but instead he's going to Hollywood. He sucks. Anything else, Ben?
No, I think that's all the time we have for you, Jim. Thank you so much. Again, this was
Eat me, you little.
this was your sports betting expert, Mr. Jim Shorts. Jim, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, eat me.
All right. Well, that was a big waste of time. Thank you again to Jim Shorts, the sports betting expert, for his very knowledgeable feedback on the NFL free agency. But moving on from that, we do got to talk about the NFL free agents. I know he said that who cares, but we're going to talk about it nonetheless. So, going back to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are the Buccaneers in trouble? One of their top wide receivers, Chris Godwin, is a free agent. He is going to be getting a very large contract for his skilled play at the wide receiver position. And of course, with the retirement of Tom Brady, are the Bucs in trouble? I mean, the Bucs also have all four of their running backs as free agents. So you got Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Le'Veon Bell, and Giovanni Bernard all going to be free agents. Now, I could definitely see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signing a few of these guys. However, I don't think they're going to be able to keep all four of them, all being pretty solid running backs. I mean, Leonard Fournette being your only true running back star on that team. But the others definitely have some great moments at the running back position. I think that they are going to re-sign Leonard Fournette, maybe even try to keep someone like Ronald Jones Jr., who is really good in the open field. He's a very fast running back. But what are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do about the quarterback position? Now, as of right now, with the retirement of Tom Brady, their quarterback is Blaine Gabbert. Now, I've never heard of Blaine Gabbert. I don't know if you guys have heard of Blaine Gabbert, but this is not the quarterback that they need to try to stay in contention as a team. If they can maybe draft a young quarterback and keep Chris Godwin, that could be something very good for the future. I mean, they have the 27th pick in the first round, where they could try to draft someone like Matt Corral from Ole Miss if he drops far enough, or even try to draft somebody like Sam Howell from North Carolina. But along with that, there are also some pretty solid quarterback options in free agency. I mean, Ben Rothensberger is nearing towards the end of his season. It looks like that this could be the end of the Rothensberger era in Pittsburgh, with him having a void contract and Dwayne Haskins being a restricted free agent. I feel like they could possibly try to move on from the Big Ben era and try to move into the Dwayne Haskins era. Along with this, you also have quarterbacks like Cam Newton, who he signed with Carolina for the remainder of the season last year, and he had a few good games, but nothing too stellar for that Panthers team. You also have a young quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater, who had a pretty solid season for the Denver Broncos. And then finally, you have someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, while he's a pretty inconsistent quarterback, he's someone that at times shows flashes of some true quarterback skill. So we'll have to see what happens with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what's going to happen to see if they can stay in playoff contention. Now, this next one, we're just going to mention it briefly since we talked about it a little bit last week. But again, with this Green Bay Packers situation, you have Davante Adams going to get the highest contract a wide receiver has ever gotten in NFL history. I mean, he is easily at least the top three for best wide receivers in the league today. Joe and I mentioned it last week, but there's a potential for a Derek Carr for Aaron Rodgers trade. And I think that'd be a really good move. Try to keep Davante Adams on the Packers and build around him. Joe mentioned it last week. Derek Carr and Davante Adams were very good friends in college. And I think that this could be a very good move for the Packers in the long run. Now, we're also going to be talking about a few key free agents and what might happen with them. Now, the Rams have 3 free agents, and Odell Beckham Jr., Von Miller, and Sony Michel, 3 players that have played great for them this season. But I think that the Rams are going to be able to really keep that core and really re-sign all 3 players. Now, a team like the Cardinals have a lot of their top stars going into free agency this year. You have defensive end Chandler Jones, you have Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, James Conner, AJ Green, and Zach Ertz. Now, I don't believe that they're going to be able to keep all of these guys. However, I think that they could be able to get rid of one, sign someone else that could potentially be a better fit for them. Now, I think that they could pull a move where they get rid of AJ Green and potentially sign someone like Will Fuller, T.Y. Hilton, Russell Gage, maybe even someone like Allen Robinson, who we just mentioned earlier on the Chicago Bears. So adding someone like this could bring a big star power to the wide receiver position. I mean, Russell Gage had a career season. T.Y. Hilton is slowing down a little bit, but Will Fuller, when he was playing this year, played great. Allen Robinson is a great wide receiver and could really excel with a better quarterback in Kyler Murray. Now, another big question is, what decision are the New Orleans Saints going to make? Now, they did just get rid of Sean Payton at the end of the season and just signed their defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, to be their next head coach. And they have a lot of free agents this year. I mean, you have Jameis Winston, Traquan Smith, Ty Montgomery, all pretty solid players for this New Orleans team. Now, here's why I think it's going to happen. Now, they could try to do a sign trade with Jameis Winston and try to get someone like Deshaun Watson. Obviously, Deshaun Watson has had a lot of off-field issues. However, when he is playing on the field, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I've also heard rumors of Russell Wilson potentially wanting to get out of Seattle, and I could definitely see a sign and trade for Jameis Winston to get Russell Wilson on this team. And with that, I mean, they could also re-sign Traquan Smith and Ty Montgomery. Now, here's the situation with New Orleans. They need to make a decision because they're kind of in no man's land. This is their first year without quarterback Drew Brees. Michael Thomas has been on and off with injuries the last 2 seasons, and when he has been playing, he has not been the same Michael Thomas that we have known in this league. So what they really need to decide is, are they going to go for a full rebuild, or are they going to make some trades and try to stay in the playoff contention? That's going to be the biggest question. Are they going to get rid of these guys, or are they going to make moves to try to stay relevant in this league? I guess we'll have to find out. Now, we will also be going through some other top free agents this season, starting with Cordell Patterson, the running back from the Atlanta Falcons, having the best season of his career, scoring 11 touchdowns, rushing for 618 yards, and receiving for 548 yards. Now, the Falcons are in a very tough spot. Now, the news just came out that Calvin Ridley is going to be suspended for the entire 2022-2023 NFL season after it was found that he was betting on his games. So the Atlanta Falcons are in a really tough spot, and with the year that Cordell Patterson had this year, I don't think that they're going to be able to sign him. I think that, I don't know where he's going to go, but he's going to be signing a big contract with a pretty good team, in my opinion. Now, next we have Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon has been a very good running back in this league since he came from Wisconsin. However, he has not been as productive in Denver as he was when he was playing for the Chargers. I think that he's going to be trying to sign with a new team this offseason. Next, we have Philip Blinsey from the Miami Dolphins. Now, Philip Blinsey has been one of my favorite players since he came into the league a few years ago. Now, his production has not been that great since he left Denver, but I think that he is still a very solid second running back option for any team, especially one that's trying to contend. Next, for the wide receivers, we have a player like Sami Watkins. Now, Sami Watkins used to be one of the top wide receivers in the league when he was with the Buffalo Bills. He has not put on the same production since he left the Bills, currently playing for the Baltimore Ravens. And I could maybe see him leaving. I could really see the Baltimore Ravens trying to keep him, though, and trying to also add another wide receiver because they really struggled this season, and I think that they really need to make some moves to put them back in that playoff contention. With that, I mean, you have a player like Emmanuel Sanders or DJ Shark, who are really great wide receivers, someone that the Ravens could potentially sign as a great second or third wide receiver option for this team. And finally, for the wide receivers, we have Juju Smith-Schuster of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I talked about this earlier. I think that the Steelers could try to move away from the Ben Rothensberger era, and this could potentially have Juju Smith move on to a different team as well. I don't know if this is going to be a possibility. Juju Smith has been very loyal to the Pittsburgh Steelers in his career, but we'll see what happens, again, at free agency. Now, next for the tight ends, we have CJ Uzoma from the Cincinnati Bengals. He has had a career year this year, a career-high 5 touchdowns this season for the Bengals, who went on to the Super Bowl. I think that they will re-sign Uzoma, who's been a great tight end for them, and I mean, this team's just growing. They're going to get better and better every year because they are just such a young team. Now next we have David Njoku for the Cleveland Browns. He has been a very solid piece for this Cleveland Browns team. He seems like he'd be very loyal to this organization, and I really think that he's going to resign with the Browns. We have someone like Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys, one of the best tight ends in the league right now. He had a career-high 808 yards receiving as well as 8 touchdowns this season. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are really going to try to keep him. Next, we have Jared Cook of the Los Angeles Chargers. Jared Cook is a great tight end, but again, he is getting up there in age at 34 years old. I don't know if the Chargers are going to try to re-sign him. I think that they could really try to let him go and try to get somebody that's going to be younger. Someone like Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins, maybe even Evan Ingram of the New York Giants. And probably the biggest tight end free agent for this NFL free agency is Rob Gronkowski of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Rob Gronkowski has basically followed Tom Brady in his career, obviously going from the Patriots to the Buccaneers after Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers. Now that Tom Brady's retired, what is Rob Gronkowski going to do? He is 32 years old. He is getting up there in age. He isn't the same tight end that we used to know and love back in the Patriots days. However, I think that he still has a little bit left in the tank, but he's going to try to sign with a contending team. He's not going to go on a team that's on its way up, a team that's trying to rebuild. He's not going to do that. So I think that if he does sign with a team, it's going to be someone who needs a tight end, like the Cardinals if they lose Zach Ertz, like the Titans who have a great offensive system. They're just missing a key tight end piece, or maybe even a Patriots reunion. Now, the Patriots do have Hunter Henry for their tight end, but I could definitely see a tight end duo between Hunter Henry and Rob Gronkowski if he decides to go back to the Patriots. If he doesn't sign with one of these contending teams, I think it's going to be the end of his career. I doubt he's going to try to get on a rebuilding team. And so if he doesn't, he's going to retire before the season starts. Now, moving on to the defensive players, I should mention that, in the NFL, it is more noted that the NFL players normally stay with their teams compared to a league like the NBA where players are moving around all the time. NFL players, for the most part, try to stick with their teams. So I feel like when it comes to the defense, I feel like a lot of players are going to resign. So like Jadeveon Clowney of the Cleveland Browns, I think he'll resign. Randy Gregory of the Dallas Mavericks, he'll resign. You have two really great defensive pieces in Eli Apple and Jesse Bates from the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that, especially after going to the Super Bowl, that they are definitely going to resign and try to expand on the success that they had last season. But who won't resign? If Jadeveon Clowney does decide to leave the Browns, I think that the Browns could try to sign someone like Jason Pierre-Paul of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a really great defensive end. Now, when it comes to teams that need, let's say, a secondary defensive piece, someone like the Chicago Bears, I could see them signing someone like Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, with this uncertain future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I could see someone like Carlton Davis trying to leave the team. Along with that, another cornerback piece that a team might need is Stefan Gilmore. Now, he played for the Carolina Panthers last season, and he's still a great cornerback, but I think that he's going to try to get onto a better team. Maybe someone like the Arizona Cardinals, who heavily need a star cornerback. Now, a big issue for them in the playoffs was their defense, and if they could sign somebody like Stefan Gilmore, they could be set for the future. Now, along with that, there are plenty of other teams that need defense pieces, like the Baltimore Ravens or the Detroit Lions. Now, I could see them signing someone like Marcus Williams, one of the best free safeties in the league from the New Orleans Saints. And with the uncertain future of the New Orleans Saints, I could see someone like him leaving for a team like Baltimore. You also have a player like Quandre Diggs, another great free safety in this league, currently playing for the Seattle Seahawks. I could see him leaving for, again, a team like Baltimore Ravens or the Detroit Lions. But that's going to do it for us today. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. I really appreciate it. Thank you again to Mr. Jim Shorts for bringing his expertise to the topic of NFL free agency. He has some really great insight, so thank you for the greatest sports bettor in the country, Jim Shorts, for coming on to the podcast. Again, if you want to read Broken Mary by Kevin Matthews, the link to that's going to be in the description. If you want to read that Chicago Tribune article, which you should because I'm featured in it, and it's a pretty good story. Link for that's also going to be in the description below. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I am BaseLINE Newman, and we will talk to you guys next time.